this wonderful Miami that you see all started out with drug money. This town was built on coke money. Every bit of it.
If you did cocaine in America in the 80s, it almost certainly passed through Miami.
Miami's Cocaine City, the main cocaine transit point between the American mainland and the Bahamas.
Millions of dollars worth were smuggled in by this man alone.
I got paid $500,000 a trip. I wouldn't do it for any less.
Rival gangs battled for their share of the drug profits, making Miami the murder capital of America and inspiring my favorite TV show as a kid. This was my first glimpse into the cocaine underworld. I was fascinated by the money, the violence, the larger-than-life characters, and of course, Crockett's fashion choices. I had no idea that decades later, the Miami smuggling scene would be hot again, and that I'd be the one chasing the traffickers.
They're starting to bring the old roots back with connections all through Central and South America.
This is a story about one of the most infamous and intractable smuggling routes on the planet.
¿Cuánto de drogas tienes?
La cocaína es una cosa que se tiene al país. Son los que trafican con la droga.
After 40 years of the multi-billion-dollar U.S. war on drugs, how is cocaine as cheap and plentiful as ever?
Cops don't catch anybody, man. People tell.
Let's go, let's go. We were spotted.
And who are the people putting their lives on the line to deliver Americans their preferred party drug? I'm heading on a 3,000-mile journey from green leaves to white lines to find out.
Alto control obligatorio de Manchete. It's the police checkpoint.
¿Qué tal, señor? Buenos días. ¿Va a
Sí,
permitir
bien.
su documento un momento?
Okay.
Hola, ¿todo bien?
A ver, un momento, le voy a hacer un registro vehicular, ¿ya?
Okay.
When your job is reporting on black markets, a few checkpoints are to be expected.
Equipos
de filmaje.
But nothing stirs the butterflies in the belly quite like the last checkpoint. The one before you step into ungoverned territory.
Gracias.
Entonces eso es para controlar las drogas.
Las drogas, sí. Como somos equipo de filmación, no nos ha revisado mucho.
Pero generalmente revisan todo.
Todo, las llantas, todo, lo desarman a hacer
¿Están
carro.
siempre allá?
Sí,
Aquí
ahí
están siempre.
As we clear the checkpoint, we enter a lawless region that produces roughly 1/5 of the world's cocaine. The Brain.
Que no me enorgullece, pero es uno de los mejores productores de cocaína. Porque abunda la hoja de coca, que es la materia prima para hacer el producto.
Entonces, de la calidad de la cocaína que sale de aquí, que es muy buena.
Excelente.
My guide to this world is my friend Ceviche, who lived in the Brain for many years.
Mira, allá están secando la hoja de coca.
¿Verdad?
¿Sí?
No, they're drying out coca leaves right there.
Ese coca. Están secando.
Locals here in the Brain have been growing coca for thousands of years. But this isn't your typical farming community.
¡Armas! Acá alrededor, para que no haga ahí, luchamos contra la delincuencia. A los rateros, los que están robando, las personas que están mal de vivir. ¿Quién corrige acá esa terraza?
Throughout the valley, vigilante militias like this are the de facto law of the land. These coca farmers turned soldiers are trained to defend their communities and their crop.
Aquí está la coca. Coca leaves. Eso, ok. ¿Y ustedes la ponen en la boca así?
Sí.
¿Yo puedo ponerlo más ahorita?
Normal.
Masticar nomás, masticar, no pasar.
Mastigar, no. Saying I should just chew it, not swallow it. It tastes like a leaf. Y se siente adormentando un poco la boca, ¿ah?
Sí, claro. Porque tiene droga, pues, droga tiene.
Sí. Buen sabor, amarguito, pero bueno.
Here in Peru, it's actually legal to grow and sell coca leaves. It only becomes illegal if you're processing those leaves into cocaine.
Eso te da energía.
Valor. Sí.
Valor. Fuerza.
Originally, the militias formed in response to the Shining Path, a ruthless communist group that rose to power in the 1980s. Its members have waged a decades-long civil war to overthrow the Peruvian government.
Nuestros enemigos están por arriba, por los cerros. El sendero luminoso.
The Shining Path controls key smuggling routes and has been known to attack communities to expand its territory. That's how the group makes its money, extorting growers, makers, and smugglers for protection or safe passage.
Bien, subsisten los senderos luminosos ya como se sabe que por el narcotráfico. Pero de todos modos, nosotros acá en el Bray, también, ¿no? Nuestra población vivimos tan solamente nuestra hoja de coca mayormente, no hay otro producto, es el único sustento en nuestro Bray, ¿no?
The politics in the Vrame are complicated.
¡Contacto a la 12!
To fund their fight against the Shining Path and to support their families, these farmers sell their coca harvest, and they never ask questions about the buyer's intended use.
Siguiente que salga, que cúbrese ahí. Tenemos un hombre caído. Bien.
But the truth is, nearly 94% of coca leaves in the Vrame go to drug traffickers. Here, the drug trade is controlled by small family clans who operate independently. And all of them are suspicious of outsiders. When locals see a bunch of gringos, they think we're American law enforcement. That's why I'm leaning on Ceviche to help me get access to the next step in the process.
Yo hacía servicio de taxi de un pueblo a otro y a veces pues la gente llevaba sus insumos.
Insumos dices cocaína.
No,
Entonces,
insumos son parte de la cocaína, ¿no? Sea ácido, sea hojas de coca.
Pero tú sabías que estaban con eso porque iban a producir la cocaína.
O vas a llevar cinco bolsas de lejía grande. ¿Para qué? ¿Tanta ropa lavas? No.
¿Y qué hacías en esos casos cuando sabías que estabas transportando?
Puro lo llevaba.
Turns out that one of Ceviche's former passengers is still active in the cocaine trade. He's part of a family clan that buys coca leaves and processes them into cocaine paste.
Es complicado. Entonces ellos te muestran por confianza.
¿Cuánto tiempo de aquí están?
Una hora.
His contact agreed to meet, but gave us very little information. We were told to take the one road out of town and wait for further instructions.
So we're driving for an hour up the mountain in these dirt roads. We're heading to meet the dueño, the owner of a drug operation, who's given us the green light to film his lab in the jungle.
All I know is that I've been promised to see the place where cocaine begins its 3,000-mile journey to the U.S. But for now, everyone is just nervous about getting there.
We've been told that every time a car approaches or we go through these towns that have lights, that we should hide our faces because they don't want to see, any gringos in this area because it would raise suspicions. Baja tu cámara. This area is quite dangerous.
Even though we've gotten permission to see this cocaine lab, to get there, we have to pass through land controlled by other clans and militias who have no idea who we are or what we're up to. So I'm a little startled when, in the middle of a deserted road,
The pitch dark.
a man suddenly appears out of the darkness.
I'm trying to figure out who this guy is. Entonces tú vas con nosotros. Ah, ok. ¿Y tú trabajas ahí o cuál es tu papel? Perdón.
The chemist, the key figure in the whole operation, was standing on a mountain road in the pitch dark. Sometimes you can't make this stuff up.
So they're checking the area to make sure that everything is safe.
Ya listo, ¿no?
Okay, shut off all lights. And here it is, the entry into the jungle.
Ese es nuestro pueblo y eso no debe venir a sacar. En cada pueblo son unidos. Cuando cualquier cosa pasa, todo el pueblo se organiza, se levantan y vienen toditos.
He's saying that the town close by, if they see us, it can create problems to all of us.
These labs are the economic engines for the local communities. Without them, there would be little demand for coca leaves. That's why villagers are so protective. We're basically a threat to their livelihood. The chemist has made me promise that I won't reveal the location. I told him it's not a problem. I can barely see my own feet.
I can't see. Can't see. Bien, estoy bien. Gracias. Aquí está. Wow. This is it. It's right here. Wow. ¿Qué es eso? ¿Me puedes explicar?
Están moviendo la coca para sacar toda la droga.
I'm not gonna lie. It's always a rush getting access to these clandestine worlds. The cocaine pit, the starting point for such a storied black market trade, ranks up there. But as the reporter high wears off, I realize that the whole process boils down to brute labor and simple chemistry.
Ese proceso ha empezado hace cuánto tiempo?
3 días atrás.
3 días. So they've been doing this for 3 days, and now this is the final step, which they mix it with salt.
It takes 400 kilos, almost 900 pounds, of coca leaves to make 1 kilo of cocaine. They're soaked in water, acid, and bleach, which draws the drugs out of the leaves.
And now it's ready to be moved on to smaller containers to the lab. Y de aquí va al laboratorio, entonces.
Here, in this makeshift lab, they'll start the purification process.
Ahora vamos a echar el cemento, es para que le ayude a cortar la droga.
El cemento.
Ajá.
Researchers discovered how to extract cocaine from coca leaves over 150 years ago. And Americans got their first taste of the drug in Coca-Cola back in the 19th century, before it was banned by the federal government in 1914.
It's a really, really intense smell. ¿Es gasolina?
Sí.
Sí.
A la gasolina va a jalar la droga.
To purify cocaine in the middle of the Peruvian jungle, they figured out how to extract the drug using simple household chemicals and a whole lot of gasoline. In this lab, each batch requires 70 gallons.
¿Y de aquí qué se hace?
Vamos a preparar el ácido. Media tapa nomás. Es ácido bien fuerte, es real.
Ammonia, bleach, cement, lime, gasoline. With each toxic additive, the drug becomes more and more concentrated.
So what they're doing is that they're removing the top of it, which is the fuel, and the bottom is a clear sort of liquid, and that's where the drugs remain. So you see it's pretty dark, and that's all the gasoline, and the clear part now underneath. ¿Y eso qué es?
La droga en este camino, ¿no?
So yeah, that's the drugs right there. So they call that clear liquid, they call it the soup.
Puedes probar la boca. Como anestesia se hace tu boca. ¿Quieres sentirla?
He asked me if I wanted to try it. I said no. Pero puedo tocar o no?
Toca, no tiene nada.
No, no va.
No te va a hacer nada.
Sí, frío. Ooh, check this out. This is amazing.
It's crazy to think that only weeks from now, this jungle soup will disappear up some Americans' nostrils. Now it's time for the final step. A splash of ammonia to solidify the drugs.
Hay que apresurarnos. Ya rápido.
Right. Okay, they have to speed it up. We have to speed it up, guys.
With so many livelihoods depending on this lab, Ceviche's friend is taking a massive risk giving us a peek behind the curtain. So when the chemist disappears for a moment, I begin to worry.
Ahora tenemos que irnos ahorita.
Okay, ¿por qué?
Porque la gente nos ha visto.
¿Quién nos ha visto?
El pueblo. Nos está cuidando y nos ha informado que el pueblo se ha enterado y tenemos que salir ya.
Hey guys, we have to go right now.
Vámonos, pues.
Sí, ya vamos.
Rápido.
Let's go. Okay, so we were spotted by somebody up on the road. They said that we have to get into the car and get out of here. Okay. We have to go fast. No. ¿Están dentro? Are they all inside?
Thankfully, we escape without incident. But the drug's long journey north is only just beginning. It's a new day in the rain. Last night's coca paste has hardened into bricks. The next challenge, getting them out of the valley. The easiest way would be by plane. But the Peruvian military now has permission to shoot down suspected drug flights. Driving the coke out would also work, but the roads here are littered with police checkpoints. So that's given way to the preferred method of transport, in a backpack. The same guys who ran the lab ask us to meet them outside of town at a trailhead that leads up into the Andes.
Copy that. We're following the convoy. We're right behind the other two cars. Aquí? Okay. Okay, we're here. Okay. Take my headlamp out.
They're known as mochileros, the Spanish word for backpacker. Their backpacks are filled with bricks and powder. They are the Sherpas of the cocaine world. I was surprised to learn that the chemist from last night is also a mochilero.
¿Es más peligroso esos viajes, transportar la droga, que cocinarla?
Claro, bueno. Transportar es más peligroso.
The elevation, more than 6,000 feet. And I can feel it.
Just started like 15 minutes ago and I'm already exhausted. And I'm not carrying 10 kilos on my back. ¿Qué horas son? Son como las 3:30. Y aquí se para un poquito para regain breath, para descansar. ¿Me puedes decir qué tienes contigo?
Para protección, solamente con eso llevo
Rifle. ¿Y qué más tienes para protección?
una piña,
¿Espiñas lo llaman?
granada. Todos los que trabajan en este tipo de cosas están armados, ¿no?
Rival clans, corrupt cops, thieves of all kinds. It's the Wild West out on the trails. I ask what would happen if they get attacked.
Empezaría la guerra, ¿no? Corre sangre. Por tu vida. Disparas a tus enemigos.
I'm following the cocaine highway from the mountains of Peru to the nightclubs of Miami. It's 4 a.m., and I'm embedded with a group of young men, risking their lives to hike 30 kilos out of the Vrame Valley.
So this is the main stuff they take. A can of tuna, saltines, they have a plastic that they use to cover themselves in case it rains, and then alcohol, which they say helps with altitude sickness because they're going high up the mountain. Y aquí está la droga, claro. So this here is worth $900 each a kilo. In the US, once it's processed, it's worth $25,000. ¿Y cuánto de drogas tienes?
Tenemos de 35 kilos.
Total.
Sí, todo.
That means these guys are carrying about $750,000 worth of raw cocaine.
Esa es la droga, la piedra.
La piedra, the rock.
A la hora de sacarle la poza, esto sale.
Sale el polvo.
Polvo.
Peruvian cocaine paste, some of the most sought after in the world. The same bricks that Escobar would fly into Colombia to process into powder.
¿Puedes oler?
¿Puedo?
Si quieres, puedes probar.
Gracias.
It looks so unassuming. It's hard to imagine the trail of violence left in its wake.
Sí, la cosa más peligrosa que sucedió contigo.
Nos emboscaron,
¿A quién?
los ladrones.
¿Y cuántos?
Serían unos 10, así, todos armados. Todo miedo.
¿Que hicieron mal a alguien?
Sí, hasta fallecidos.
¿Amigos tuyos? ¿Cuántos?
Sí. 3 personas.
¿Verdad? ¿Cuántos años tenían esas personas que murieron?
Tenían 20, 19, así nada más.
Jóvenes, ¿eh?
Sí, jóvenes.
¿Son siempre jóvenes que hacen ese trabajo de ustedes? Sí. ¿Cuántos años tenías cuando fuiste la primera vez?
15.
15 años.
Sí.
¿Y tú?
A los 16.
¿Ustedes piensan que van a continuar a hacer eso por cuánto tiempo?
Este año nada más. Ya el próximo año ya no, al estudio.
¿Qué querías estudiar?
Bueno, yo quería ser dentista.
¿Dentista?
Sí, así es.
¿Por qué?
Veía a veces las propagandas en las televisiones que ya las sonrisas, como ya te emocionas tenerlos así, ¿no? Y ese es mi sueño, ¿no?
Entonces, para ser personas felices.
Ver sonreír, ¿no? Claro.
Qué bonito. Okay, they're getting anxious about leaving.
Watching these young men pack, I'm feeling conflicted. I know what they're doing is illegal and that the drug they're carrying has caused millions of families around the world to suffer. But after spending 2 days with them, I can't help but be concerned for their safety. They're just kids, only a few years older than my own son. It seems so unfair that the lack of options in the Vrame means they have to risk their lives just so Americans can get their cheap high.
Que se mantienen seguros. Gracias. So they said they're going to walk for 12 more hours, and then rest, and then continue for a day and a half more. Okay, entonces nos vemos dentro el domingo.
Sí, sí.
Okay.
We make plans to meet up at the end of their journey. But I'm worried. Anything could happen on the trail.
En esta cosa vas con tu vida.
As the mochileros rise out of the valley, the price of cocaine rises as well. Theirs is just the first leg of a global distribution network. If the mochileros survive the hike, they will sell to a new owner, who will smuggle the drugs by car into Lima, and then head north. Each time the drugs change hands, the price jumps. Smugglers must account for the real cost of transport and the risk. Plus, each will take their share of the profits. Eventually, the cocaine passes through Ecuador to Colombia, my next stop. At first glance, Turbo looks like any other Caribbean fishing town. But just beneath the surface is another reality.
People say the life in Peru is partying, it's having sex. You drink hard, you party hard, and you know soon you might be a dead man out on the street. Because nearly everyone here earns a living in a dangerous world.
Well, Peru is mainly populated by fishermen, but still cocaine business is the main business.
Oliver Schmieg is a German photojournalist who spent decades in Colombia documenting the drug trade.
Mariana, what we have to understand is like mostly drugs going from Colombia to the US, they are passing through Turbo. If you want to run smuggling routes through the ocean, it's like the perfect place. It's very easy to recruit people who are able to drive cargo boats.
What are the chances we could see one of these boats or even ride in one of them?
I'm down here 21 years. I got really good access to drug cartels, and it's just a matter of how much they might trust in us.
Oliver works his contacts and directs me to a dock on the edge of town, which I'm not allowed to show on camera. But just as he promised, I'm met by two cocaine smugglers in a boat.
¿Por qué son los pescadores mejores a hacer eso?
Por ya por la experiencia. Y como la ley a los pescadores casi no los molesta, no los detecta. Y muchos grupos armados, todos ellos están en servicio de nosotros, porque todos necesitan la banca para sacar la mercancía, para transportar la mercancía. Somos premiadores, somos vuelo charter.
Today, the boats are empty of cargo. The smugglers agree to talk about their work, but they won't let me near the products. The multi-million-dollar payloads they move are too valuable to risk showing them off to foreign journalists.
Entonces tú cuando haces transporte, si viene la droga aquí, ¿la tienes escondida?
Con las redes, ahí va la droga.
Entonces parece que estás pescando, pones pescado en...
Sí.
Pero en verdad...
droga.
Cocaína.
Cocaína.
¿Por qué se transportan las drogas en esas pangas así? ¿Por qué?
Es más rápida. Porque se desliza. Se desliza por el agua. Eso es una máquina. Es de fibra. Tampoco detecta uno cuando uno está mojado.
Smugglers use these low-tech fiberglass boats to outmaneuver the Colombian military and its ally, the U.S. Coast Guard. Radar waves, which easily detect metals, can only get an extremely weak signal off fiberglass, making boats like this practically invisible.
¿Y si vienen las autoridades, qué haces?
¿Qué haces? Comenzamos a tirar la droga al agua. Toda la droga se tira al agua.
¿Y después, para dónde va la droga?
Donde se pierde. Sino que hay muchas veces tiene uno problemas con el dueño de su mercancía y le puede llegar la muerte a uno.
¿Por qué estamos haciendo la entrevista así en el medio del mar?
Esto es una zona que la maneja el clan del Golfo y ellos mantienen gente cuidando todo. Aquí en estos momentos no deben de estar hasta viendo.
¿Ahorita?
Claro, que mantienen encaletados. Muchos pesqueros que uno no conoce.
¿Y por eso están nerviosos ustedes?
Esto es lo que estoy haciendo yo aquí, no se puede.
Porque piensas que estás dando...
Infiltración, exactamente. Nos puede matar a todos.
Okay, there's a boat over there. So, okay, it's a fisherman, but they were saying before that if anything, if any boat approaches, that they had to immediately take off their mask and we put the cameras down. And we just say we're doing a show about tourism. Okay, they're not feeling very comfortable. Kiki, vamos a... poquito más
Sí,
atrás.
por la pesca. Tampoco se puede confiar de estos pesqueros.
Okay. They're gonna take off their masks.
Ya.
I'm in a boat off the coast of Colombia with two very nervous cocaine smugglers. They were spooked by some passing fishermen, so they're taking me into deeper waters, where they say it's safer to speak.
So he was saying that all these fishermen, everyone here basically works for the clan. So if they see him talking to us, they'll go inform. And that could be dangerous for them. Si te vean, van a decir a ellos, eso te puede crear problemas.
Problema, la muerte. Allá con esa gente no... Muerte segura.
The Clan del Golfo is Colombia's largest and most powerful drug cartel, made up of mostly hardened paramilitary fighters and wanted war criminals.
How violent exactly is the Clan del Golfo?
Well, I mean, you have to be quite careful. Obviously, you're dealing with criminals at the end of the day. So, like 1.5 years ago, they just shut down the whole village. So they're quite powerful, like a kind of super cartel. It might be even more powerful than groups in Mexico, for example.
Wow.
I know that getting access to cartel leadership is a bigger ask. For days, it didn't look like it was going to happen. And then, out of nowhere, we got the green light.
We just made the first right, guys. We're all together, let's go.
In the car ahead of us is one of the Clan del Golfo's top commanders in this region.
We have no idea where we're going, but we're following the commander. So there are a couple of militares, soldiers right up here. And there's a cop up there too. Okay, what the No hay problema? Okay.
But with the military everywhere, we're all a bit on edge.
Let's try to get in very quickly here.
Okay.
Please.
This is it. It's a little ranch house. Okay. One, two. Can you hear me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, we're good.
Nosotros estamos corriendo peligro con que aquí estamos corriendo peligro nada más.
Even though the commander and his bodyguard trust Oliver, this is the first time we've met, and they're skeptical.
Porque nosotros no podemos saber quién son ustedes, son ley o qué.
No te preocupes. Tienes que confiar en nosotros. Mira.
I show him some photos of my past work and hope that will convince him that I'm not law enforcement.
Porque para ellos piensan.
They eventually agree to the interview.
Okay. Entonces dime, ¿cuántas personas controlas tú?
Yo en este momento controlo 300 personas.
Son muchas, entonces.
Sí, siempre.
¿Cuánto grande es el Clan del Golfo aquí en Colombia?
Porque por el lado que yo estoy, habemos 2.500 hombres.
In the traditional business world, he might be considered a VP of operations. He's helping to manage a complicated global criminal network out of a farmhouse in the Colombian countryside.
¿Cuánto imaginas que se mueve de cocaína aquí?
No sé, ¿como cuánto mueve?
¿Cada mes? ¿Cada año?
Cada semana.
1,000 cada semana de cocaína se mueve solo por...
That's a weekly shipment of cocaine worth $25 million on the streets of Miami.
¿Quién controla el grupo?
El que controla todos los grupos de nosotros se llama Otoño.
Soy Dairo Antonio Uso Gadaví, comandante general de la Autodefensa Gaitanista de Colombia, AGC.
The Clan del Golfo's top commander, Otoniel, is Colombia's public enemy #1, with a $5 million bounty on his head. He's notorious for assassinating government officials and ordering the detonation of a grenade in the middle of a nightclub. He demands complete loyalty from his soldiers.
quieres, que tu corazón no te nace, en tu mente nada, tienes que hacerlo porque es una orden. Y si no lo hace uno, lo ejecutan. Y yo no creo que me ejecuten, yo quiero vivir.
As we talk, I begin to realize that even when you're near the top of the cartel food chain, safety is no guarantee.
Porque así como nosotros podemos llegar aquí, así mismo se dan de cuenta esa gente, nos pueden matar. Porque si por una información, cualquiera puede estar pendiente aquí y nos podemos informar.
Y entonces se trae peligro para ustedes. ¿Por qué decirán?
O sea, nosotros estamos aquí porque, o sea, que nosotros estamos cansados de guerra. O sea, y creo que también conozca el país y el mundo lo que nosotros estamos viviendo.
Yo tengo una niña de 4 añitos. Y que queríamos terminar la reducida, queríamos una vida libre, una vez hubiera peligro el gobierno, hubiera peligro que la misma gente lo vaya a matar a uno, hubiera esto. Empezar como una nueva vida, puede decir.
Empezar una nueva vida.
Sí.
La guerra en el país, en el mundo, es por el medio de la cocaína. Por eso es que está este mundo así en la guerra. Porque todos quieren comer algo.
In the last few years, cocaine trafficking in Colombia has reached record levels. From what these men tell me, this rise has been anything but glamorous. Yet, the country is the distribution center for the global cocaine trade. From here, roughly half the supply is shipped to Europe, Africa, Asia, and Australia. The other half will end up in the United States. That's if smugglers can evade these guys.
We just spotted a northbound vessel heading from the south in a known drug trafficking area. Usually with a vessel that size, over 40 feet, has cabins, spaces that you could actually hide large amount of narcotics. We're gonna board a vessel that is suspected of narcotic smuggling. You're gonna encounter a master. He may or may not be armed. Watch out for each other. Your job, gain compliance, however means necessary.
In the last 5 years, the U.S. Coast Guard has seized a record amount of cocaine at sea.
We're here today to offload 14,200 pounds.
Load 11 tons, 20 metric tons.
Of pure uncut cocaine worth over $190 million.
The drug traffic organizations are creative and they're always looking for ways to elude detection. That could be a go-fast vessel, that could be a low-profile vessel, that could be a semi-submersible, that could be a fully submersible, that could be legitimate commercial traffic.
Get the vessel, starboard bow. We're gonna scramble the boarding team together, get them on the small boat to go over and investigate, see what's going on. Just not enough to figure out what's actually physically going on until you put boots on deck.
The most dangerous part of an officer's job when they board what they suspect is a drug-running boat.
Reports have shown that there are packages on deck.
Smugglers in this situation have a difficult choice. Abandon their cargo and face the cartel's wrath, or try to outrun the red, white, and blue.
U.S. Coast Guard, let me see your hands!
Without reaching for or touching, you got any weapons on board? All right, we're gonna come on board and do an inspection of your vessel, make sure you guys are in compliance with all federal rules and regulations for a vessel this size.
141 miles from Miami, the Coast Guard has intercepted a suspected smuggling boat.
Boarding is 006 Tab 20.
The more traditional drug smuggling routes in the Caribbean are having an uptick in activity. You have non-stop boat traffic, and some of them could be legitimately fishing, but also have drugs hidden on board.
Cocaine accounts for 94% of all narcotics seized at sea.
After the boarding, we discovered that the vessel was charter for hire, just in a suspicious area. Everybody on board was compliant, and it's the best outcome you could have in a situation when you're talking about safety.
No drugs are found. The Coast Guard moves on. Catching drug runners on the high seas is an elusive game of cat and mouse.
We're operating in an area larger than the continental United States. Now imagine you have 3 or 4 police cars patrolling the continental United States. That's essentially what the Coast Guard with our ships is doing.
The bus out here, it's just pivotal before those drugs make it towards the U.S. and can be dispersed throughout the different states.
With such a large area to patrol, it's impossible to catch them all.
In all the efforts every day during the mission, we only get 10% of known drugs that are being moved towards the United States.
The remaining 90% of cocaine slips past undetected, heading to Miami under the cover of darkness. "40 years after cocaine built this skyline, the drug money is still pouring in. This convertible is a tribute to my childhood crushes, Crockett and Tubbs. As I cruise towards South Beach to meet a coke dealer, I'm actually thinking back to the final episode of Miami Vice, when they decide to turn in their badges because they realize that the war on drugs is unwinnable. After 3,000 miles on the cocaine highway, I'd be lying if I said I didn't wonder the same.
Do you have some of the stuff you sell with you?
I have a little something here.
You have some in your pocket?
Yeah, I brought a couple bags with me. Just looks like regular powder. It's just a couple bags and keep it there, you know?
So it looks like a cigar case.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I keep it in, you know? It's a little more inconspicuous. The way I make most of my money is like $20 bags.
Mm-hmm.
I'll come to South Beach and I'll sell a $20 bag for $40 and just multiply. That's all. On a good day, I'll get 2 ounces for about $2,000.
And if you sell it all, how much money can you make?
About 5,000, almost 6.
How long does it take you to sell that?
That'll be gone in 3 days.
So you can make $3,000 in 3 days, essentially $1,000 a day.
Yeah, about that.
Is it pure cocaine that you sell? I mean,
it's all right, yeah. It'll keep people up for days at a time, for sure. South Beach loves it. In the clubs, everybody, you know. South Beach is cocaine. And this year, in this generation, that's what everybody wants. Everybody loves to party. They come to Miami, they want to party in the party city. That's what it's all about.
It's just after midnight, and the dealer agrees to let me watch him work. But only if I play by his rules.
So we can't have our cameras out there, and the only way he agreed for us to film this was just we'd stay in the car and we'd film it from here. How do you go about selling it?
You just gotta be low key. You gotta be ahead of your game, you know? Because people try to set you up, it's different stuff, yeah. You gotta be prepared for sure. Sometimes when I deal with my weight, you know, I have to bring a pistol with me, stuff like that, because people try to rob you.
What kind do you have?
A .357 Magnum with a 6-inch barrel. It's one of my favorites.
Have you used it?
No, I wouldn't want to comment on that.
Okay, he just got a phone call. And he's walking somewhere. Oh, and then he just went in there somewhere.
I do mostly everything right now just through text messages. I have like a burner phone, like an untraceable phone.
Okay, he's walking this way. So I'm just gonna check on him, see what's up.
That was it. She bought a $500,000, $40.
Right there inside the pizza place?
Well, bathroom, yeah.
You just went into the bathroom, gave her, and she gave you the money, and that was it?
That's it. She could have bought 2, but you know, on South Beach it goes for double, so
right.
Gotta make that profit.
How many people do you sell to in a week, more or less, you think?
In a week, I'd say at least 75 people maybe.
Wow, that's a lot.
Product sells itself.
Aren't you afraid of getting caught?
I mean, now I am because, yeah, I have a family and stuff like that, but still gotta feed them, you know what I'm saying? Gotta take care of the family. By any means necessary, that's all. It's a small sacrifice, right? I keep a little bail money to the side. I'll be all right, I'm ready for whatever happens.
Very few people know the journey a kilo of cocaine makes to get to the United States, or the hands that it touches along the way. But the path it follows from beginning to end is shaped by simple economics. That's as clear on the streets of Miami as it is on the boats of Colombia or the trails of Peru.
Aquí están. They're here.
Back in the frame, the chemist and the would-be dentist have just made their drop. Another 30 kilos are headed north.
¿Dónde están los otros?
El otro la agarró fiebre, se ha regresado.
¿Y sabes si llegó?
Aún no todavía. Así es en este trabajo. Vas con tu vida, cualquier cosa pasa, te quedas.
¿Cuándo piensas que vas a hacer eso de nuevo la próxima vez?
15 días.
¿Dentro de 15 días vas a hacer eso de nuevo?
Yo me dedico a eso nomás. Así pasaré mi vida hasta recolectar plata.
Ese dinero va a seguir en la cocaína. La cocaína nunca se va a acabar. Nunca se va a acabar. Se acaba si se acaba el mundo, la única forma.